Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 20 of the Insiders on Real Estate and Marketing. I'm your host, Sandy Hibbert, and this is my co-host, Mr. Marc Miller.
How you doing, girl?
I'm great.
Good.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Super good.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about our esteemed guest that we have today, a gentleman that I have admired for many years, being in the real estate marketing space that I've worked in. And he is the CEO of Briggs Freeman Sothebys International Realty, Mr. Robbie Briggs.
Oh, thank you,
Robbie.
Sandy.
I'm so glad you're here.
Nice. Oh, I'm so glad to be here. It's fun.
It's awesome. We're just all sitting around chatting, talking about luxury brands and luxury real estate people and the antics and the things that people do that I think trickles down and makes their brand. You know,
Sure.
It always starts with the attitude of the leaders
Right.
in that, whether it's luxury or not.
Right.
But anyway, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
A little bit about Robbie, and I'm going to read from my notes here so I get it right. But and I do remember when your father owned the business.
Sure.
I think he started Briggs Freeman in 1960-ish,
Correct.
something like that.
1960.
Yeah.
It was Ben R. Briggs Realtors
Oh, okay.
at the time.
Cool. And then Robbie took that, has expanded the business. He now runs an international operation with over 400 agents with Sothebys International Luxury Realty. So I'm super happy to have him here, and we're going to talk and dig deep into luxury. We're going to talk about luxury realtors, luxury marketing, the technical side. Marc's going to jump in on that and all the things that luxury is doing right now in the market. So let's get going. Marc,
Cool. What are we going to do?
we're going to talk with Robbie.
Let's do whatever.
You and I didn't get to chat.
No, we didn't.
Okay. You just walk right over that?
I just did.
Okay. All right. Good with me.
That's right.
Well, so I've known Robbie for a number of years and become good friends, and I'm excited to have him here as well. And so I thought I'd just sort of kind of take the peek, because when you really start thinking about the luxury side of the business, you know, we hear luxury, we see it, but one of the questions I had for Robbie is when your dad started into this space, how he made a distinguishment and decided to go luxury versus the normal real estate transactions that are out there in the marketplace.
Sure.
Was there a specific focus from the start to be into the luxury side of the business?
Yes, I think so. He, for one, he grew up in Highland Park. He was a Highland Park guy. He started his company. He started with Earl Rollins, who was another luxury brand at the time, basically focusing on the Park cities. And then Dad broke off and started his. And in those days, real estate was just so different. I mean, he had 12 agents, I think. And these were pretty much, they were men and women that knew a lot of people. They sat around. He played cards with them. He drank scotch with them. And they waited for the phones to ring. That was the deal.
Boy,
And, it was just a totally different market. And he had one secretary who sat at a manual typewriter and smoking a cigarette. But his friends and his running mates, they were the people in the Park cities, and so he knew those people, and so it just naturally, that's where he started.
That makes sense. He had those connections.
He had those connections.
Yeah.
I used to say, in those days, it was who you know, not what you know. Today, you better know, you better have the what you know down. The who you know is not going to put their confidence in you.
Right.
Unless you know your business.
Right.
But in those days, let's call, Susie Smith. She's so sweet. And so that was kind of what it was. And she went and picked up a key and she took you over there in her big Cadillac, and then you showed the house and you bought it. And that was kind of it. It's a lot more complicated today.
Yeah.
Wasn't Dallas so much different back in those days?
So different. So then I came in the business in 1978, having graduated from college with a degree in architecture and having worked in architecture for 2 years. And I was married and had a baby, and I was bringing home $10,000 a year, and I was going, I'm not so sure this is going to work. And so I really started in real estate with my dad thinking, I'm just going to do this until I figure out what I'm going to do.
Right, right.
And I know I can make $10,000 a year selling real estate,
Mm-hmm.
a lot easier than 9 to 5 behind a desk.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of how I started.
And you grew up in it.
Yeah, I did grow up
Yeah,
in it.
for a while, so it's kind of in
it
your...
was sort of natural. And immediately I got a pager, and all these women and men were going, "What do you have a pager for?" And I said, because we didn't have phones, cell phones, I said, I can get paged and stop at 7-Eleven, answer the phone call. And so when I go home to my wife and baby, I'm done for the day. I still get phone calls at night, but I'm not returning a stack of old messages. And they kind of got it. Then I made my dad buy a fax machine, and then we got a better, and then I really thought I'd done something nice because I got Sylvia, the secretary, and a Selectric typewriter that erased the mistakes.
Those were fabulous.
Yeah.
I remember those.
And so anyway, technology has always been interesting to me. I always wanted to stay on the cutting edge of it, and it's changed our industry completely.
Oh, no
Well,
kidding.
over that time, you have sustained, repositioned. You've had fires across your bow.
Yes, I have.
But
Many
you
different
have
kinds.
Many different kinds, but you've maintained and stayed in that lane, and which I applaud you for that.
Thank you, Marc.
But how do you continue to hold that position against other entities, whether they're a brokerage or individuals that represent themselves to be in the luxury side of the market versus you truly being in that?
Right. Well, it still gets down to the people you surround yourself with. And, for one, I'm grateful that I have title friends like yourself that are quality. That one, you've even told me to call certain agents that are quality and need a home that they need to align themselves differently. So it's mainly in the people. It's mainly in the people, from the people that run your company to the people that are out on the front lines. You've got to have quality people, and then it's technology. People first, technology second.
But it's also your process, because the people that I have presented to you and have come on board with you within that first week have called me back saying, "Oh my gosh, I didn't really realize what kind of corporate support there was in this space," and it's such a difference. So they went from feeling like they were on an island to themselves,
Right.
trying to
Out there on
develop
their
that
own.
concept and brand, and then suddenly they're in a complete corporate environment of luxury home, and everybody through your support knows what they're doing
Yeah.
and does it at a very, very high level.
Well,
And
thank
so
you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
that's
think
that
that's-
collaboration
yeah.
piece that your company's known for.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, just kind of looking at it's hard to believe we're moving toward the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
but just on a year-to-date basis, 2021 to 2020, kind of where do you see the luxury market place? I mean, we've held, we gained a little bit, or what have you seen?
The craziest thing is 2020 put rocket fuel in the luxury space. I would have, at the beginning of the pandemic, I would have thought our market would have just dried up.
Tanked.
And it did just the opposite. The combination of, I think, the Californians understanding that they could do their business from anywhere, and why not do it in a state that was pro-business. They started flooding into our market, and they're coming with big dollars. So our prices, I just had a conversation 2 nights ago with a guy that said, "Well, you don't think there's a bubble, do you?" And I said, "No, I don't think there's a bubble." He goes, "Because y'all were just cheap." And I was like, "Well, yes and no." I mean, we are a value when you compare our most expensive properties to the most expensive properties on the coasts, New York or California. Yeah, we are a bargain. But, it's still expensive.
Well, yeah.
It's still very
normal
expensive.
people.
For normal people, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
So, and there's only so much that a market can stand. So there'll be there always are corrections. There will be a correction again, but over a long period of time, 5 years, 10 years, the numbers that we're looking at now will pale. Because overall, the market will continue to grow in price and scarcity because they're not making any more real estate. It's, you know, it's a true commodity.
Right. Yep. I don't see anything particular. You know, everybody, when we get into discussions, we're in a discussion now with potential acquisition of a smaller company, and we get into discussions about projecting out. And it almost seems like everybody's sort of going, well, 2022, I think it's going to be about the same, maybe a little less 2023. I just don't see anything
There's nothing
where we
that-
are.
No,
Everything
there's
is
nothing
happening
to
in the
stop it.
Metroplex.
There's nothing to stop it except something.
Inward migration is just
Yeah.
is the sustainable side of all the real estate categories, commercial included in that, obviously.
I mean, I guess as long as people still pay the prices,
Right.
it's not going to change.
Right.
It's not going to change.
I mean, and that's frightening. It's frightening for people not in the luxury space.
I understand.
And Mark and I were talking about this in a previous episode, how there are so many people that are getting priced right out of their own neighborhoods. Young
Right.
families who can't afford to buy and upgrade in their
Right.
neighborhoods because the
Right.
prices are so crazy. So in the luxury market, you know, we've got people coming from all over the world
Right. They
buying
can
homes
pay
here.
big dollars, and
it's-
that's
they're
fine.
not affected. So,
No,
but it affects our economy
it
here.
does. It affects our kids.
Yeah.
How do our kids
Yeah.
buy, you know,
Yeah.
homes? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, so what do you think? How do you think COVID affected this? You know, when with everybody for that moment in time, and as we were talking earlier before the show started, that there are still so many people that continue to work from home.
Right.
But when we were locked down, there was such a shift in the way that we all approached our work. And so people who had the wealth, who had the money, I think to your point about how it exploded during the pandemic, they were able to do something about more room or being able to get away from their wife and kids that they're usually out of town and they don't have to deal with. You know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
how do you think that COVID affected this uptick in what we're seeing in luxury?
Well, one of the things that it did is it pushed this industry, which has really been lagging behind in technology as a whole. It pushed
Totally.
every realtor to figure out how to go virtual.
Oh, that's a great point.
And, you know, prior to that, you know, I was kind of involved in technology, and so it was sort of natural to me. And fortunately, I had pushed our marketing department to already be there, so it wasn't a big jump for us, but it was a big jump for our agents. There were agents that really got technology, and there were agents that didn't. Well, they didn't have a choice anymore because if they wanted to sell something, it had to be virtual.
Yeah.
So they had to get really good at videos. They had to get really good at online marketing, and they did. And our marketing department was there to support them and help them. And so very early on, we were moving into, we're having open houses, virtual open houses, and all those kinds of things to me was such an improvement to our industry. I'm, you know, kind of surprised how quickly they've gone back to real live open houses, because in my mind, if I was an active agent, I would be more excited about the potential of doing virtual open houses that I could do at my homeowner's convenience on a Wednesday afternoon and walk through the house and video it professionally, and then and still put it out there that, okay, it's going to be open Sunday, you know, noon to 6, and you just put it up there. And the homeowner doesn't have to get out of the house. You're not worried about some crazy person coming in the house.
It's safe on a lot more levels.
On a lot more levels. I mean, you know, we have to worry about our agents being harmed, or people's drugs being stolen out of their medicine cabinet, or just all of that. I love the idea of just virtual. Now, we also went to virtual office meetings and will not go back, because all of a sudden, all it is up to our creativity. You know, I've had the Sothebys broker in Italy at our office meetings on Monday, virtual, to show us all the properties that she's got for sale in Italy, and give a a class on how do you buy property in Europe.
That's
I mean, it's
fantastic.
just things like that I don't have to fly her in. I don't have to put her up. I don't have to take her to dinner. I just, we just
Connect her.
connect her.
Yeah.
And she has to get up at a little earlier to do it, but it worked. And we have top agents from the New York Sothebys office and the California office, and we'll put a panel together from people all over the country to speak to our agents on their best practices. It's just great.
Did you find in any way that with the virtual side of your meetings that your attendance
Our
increased?
attention much more
I would think
increased.
so.
And the other thing that it did, when you have, our two main offices are our Turtle Creek office and our Fort Worth office. Those are our two big offices, and then we have the other three offices are smaller. So we would have our meetings either in Dallas or Fort Worth, and so Plano and Southlake and Lakewood always felt like they were second fiddle. Well, they're not anymore. They're at the same meeting everybody's
okay,
at,
yeah.
and and they can be in their pajamas if they want to. That's just fine. So I don't know that I'm talking about luxury. I got off the track. Sorry about that.
No, you are. You are talking about luxury, because I was just going to say that this is real luxury.
Yeah.
Because luxury is, it's about the experience.
It is about the experience.
How it makes you feel, how you can discover.
Right.
Luxury is about space and room to express yourself and to grow and to move around in. It's not just
Absolutely.
about price points.
No, it is not
So
about
for a
price
brokerage to provide this level of support to their
Right.
agents is huge to me, and that is a real mark of luxury.
Yeah,
So kudos
you're
to
correct.
you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I had an experience just a month or so ago. Years ago, Nancy and I went to Italy, and I think somebody had given it to me. Maybe I went out and bought it. But anyway, I bought a bottle of Chanel cologne for me to wear. Ever since that trip, every time I put that cologne on, I think of Italy, and I think of all the memories that we had on that
Yes.
wonderful trip.
Yes.
So I saved that for something special. Well, I ran out of it, so I ordered it. It's the cheapest thing Chanel probably sells. It's $100. It's not one of their expensive dresses or whatever of the things that they really are known for. It's $100. It came in the most beautiful box. You open it up, it's incredibly packaged. You undo the tissue paper, and there's a velvet bag that it's in.
Yes.
And you think, oh my gosh, this is luxury. You do the same thing at Tiffany's. You go buy a $25, well, you probably can't buy a $25, but you buy a
Bag.
keychain, you buy a keychain, something, you get it in the blue box.
Yeah.
You get the same
Yeah.
treatment. And that's what we try and do in real estate. We may be selling a $100,000 condo, but we've got better pictures.
Yeah.
And we're not leaving, we've got standards that they have to meet, and we're trying to send that message that if there's an agent that's out there showing in the $100,000 condo, they're going to say, well, I know Briggs Freeman Sothebys is going to have the best $100,000 condo, and let's go see that.
It will give you the best
And
experience.
we'll give you the best experience.
That's luxury.
And that's luxury.
Absolutely.
How long have you been affiliated with Sotheby's?
Well, that's interesting. I don't know if I don't want to get off on this, but my wife and I, we took a sabbatical and we moved to China for a couple of years. And in 2008, I told the office that I would be back in December. And so October came along, and Lehman Brothers crashed, and the stock market crashed, and the real estate market crashed. And
It was a heck of a time.
it was a heck of a time. So, and my partner at the time, Charles, was a wonderful man. He was 15 years older than I was, and he looked at me and he said, I'm not going through this again. I've been through downturns. I do not want to go through this again. So we began talking about me buying him out. And we kind of talked that back and forth, and we just were basically surviving through 2009. And I started seeing the only people that were coming to buy real expensive luxury properties were really wealthy families from Mexico that were coming up trying to get away from the cartels. We had some Europeans, we had some Canadians, and then there were some Asians that were coming to the Metroplex. And in my mind, I thought about it. Nobody in Monterrey, Mexico, or Frankfurt, Germany, or Beijing, China, none of them had ever heard of Robbie Briggs. They'd never heard of my competitors, no matter how big they were.
Mm-hmm.
But they'd all heard of Sothebys. And we've spent time on the East Coast. We have a cottage up in Maine. And I'd seen how strong the Sothebys brand was there. I'd seen how strong it was in California, and in Santa Fe, and even in Colorado. It just really hadn't hit the center part of the country yet. But I thought, that would be a smart thing to do. So they had actually been contacting me for a while, but I didn't think I wanted to be a franchise. But I really saw they were doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I contacted them and bought the franchise for Dallas and Fort Worth. And it's made a huge difference. It's made a huge difference. I love the brand, the blue signs. I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to pretend like we're in luxury. Everybody knows Sotheby's is luxury.
Exactly.
I mean, they just do. They just do. So you don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
But what I really love even more than the brand is the network. It has fabulous agents in every city, really around the world. And when somebody says to me, hey, I need an agent in Beverly Hills, I go, well, let's pick up a phone call, Joe Sillick. I know them. This is a family. Nikki Field in Manhattan. I know her. She'll take care of my
Beautiful.
people just like you would want them to take care of. I've got those kind of relationships all over, and our agents do. And I encourage them every time they go on a trip, go in the Sotheby's office, introduce yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When you take one of these courses that we all offer, don't take it in Dallas, take it in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be the one agent from Texas in the San Francisco class, and you'll have 100 San Francisco Sotheby's agents sending you referrals. Get out there
That
and
is
get
so
known.
smart.
Yeah.
Get out there and get known. And they do. And the amount of referrals that we get, one of our agents sold a $35 million house this year from a referral from California. Another one, same deal. Most of his big sales have been referrals from agents. Mm-hmm. Just toured a house. We had a meeting at a $9 million house in University Park that was a referral to the agent that goes down to Destin, Florida, and that group down there referred him to this person. Now he had to compete against 3 other agents. And he got it, but still, that referral network is the power of our brand.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of agents, how do you, when you're recruiting, or if you recruit, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
What do you look for in an agent for the realtors who are watching today? What makes a luxury agent, and how do you train a luxury agent? Tell us a little bit about that.
It is, again,
It might be an oxymoron what I'm asking you, but
no,
speak
it's
to it.
not. No, it's not at all. Our best ability is to take a $5 to $10 million agent and make them a $20 million agent. They already have some experience. Mm-hmm. We're not the best place necessarily to start out brand new, but if they already kind of know the business, and you can, they don't have to be, it's not, who's your mother, who's your daddy. It's not that at all.
Right.
Some of our best agents were teachers. Mm-hmm. They weren't motivated by money. They're motivated by service. Mm-hmm. They're motivated to teach. And when somebody only buys something once every 5 to 10 years, they're not experts. They may think they're experts, but they're not experts. This is a complicated transaction.
Yeah.
And so to have a teacher in that position is really a great thing. Or a one, I do want to know what they've done. What have they may have never held a job, but they've held top positions in charitable organizations, or they've done something. And if they have held a job, have they earned the respect of their peers? You can, like I said earlier, you can know everybody in town, but if you don't earn their respect, they're not going to give you the business.
Right.
Especially in hard times. In easy times, yeah, maybe we're going to give it to our sister-in-law who just got in the business because she needs the money. In hard times, we got to get somebody to get the job done. And so so I look for people that have, one, they have to be self-motivated. They have to care about other people, and they have to be service-oriented.
Absolutely.
We're not trying to make peers out of our wealthy clients. We're trying to serve them.
Right. That's good. That's good. So I know that Briggs Freeman is known for its collaborative atmosphere within your agents, or among your agents. Let's talk about that. How do they use that, and what opportunities do the agents and teams have at your franchise for collaborating with other agents, and how does that work?
Well, our offices are designed that way, for one, and both our both our Turtle Creek office and our Fort Worth office, we have giant kitchen lounges for the agents to come in, get a cappuccino, sit down at a little, tea table with another couple, 3 agents, and network. So the lounge is designed for people to come in and be a part of that. Then, just like we have different categories of the top agents, the different tiers, and we get all of them together sometime. But a lot of times it'll be the very, very top agents. We'll have an opportunity to tour one of their top houses, and then we'll have conversations, or we'll have somebody come and educate them. We love cocktail hours.
Happy hour?
Happy hours. We love happy hours. And so, we'll do different ones. In fact, just last night there was one, I couldn't go, but there was one down at the new restaurant across from Clyde Warren Park for everybody that had taken this particular course. And then at the same time, there was, and that's why I had to skip that one, was we had a brand new $5 million condo at the Stoneleigh open for the first time, and we were having a tour of that.
So a lot of camaraderie.
A lot of camaraderie, and the agents support each other.
Yeah.
And we had just had yesterday at lunch. We had been at this listing that I said that had gotten referred to this agent for $8 million. Perfect day. Thank you, Lord. It was 72 degrees, and we were out by the pool having a meeting, and just hearing the agents network together. Okay, I've got this person looking for this, and if we can sell them a house, then they're going to have this house, and they were all just all over it. They were all sharing, different things. So,
where do you think, we've talked about service, the camaraderie of the agents, the desire to serve, technology, especially right now during pandemic time. But where do you think the real strength lies in luxury real estate? If you could pinpoint the major strength that a luxury real estate agent possesses, what would that be?
It really is so deep. But I think right now in a market when there's a limited supply, then they have to be a creative thinker of being willing to pick up the phone and call somebody in I called somebody just yesterday or the day before and said, hey, I know you're not thinking about it, but we do have somebody looking in your neighborhood. Would you consider it? And sure enough, he said, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I would, if I can find something. So then you've got to put your thinking cap on, okay, what are we going to find for him? And we're going to have to do the same thing. He isn't going to find it. It's not going to be on the market. We're going to have to dig. So you've got to have that kind of person that is thinking outside the box.
You know, be very strategic thinker
Very
versus
strategic
just the
thinker.
motion of
Yeah.
buying and selling
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to know people. I mean, they have to, you get a totally random call, it's very easy to just hang up. But you get a call from somebody that you know, then you're more likely to listen.
It's all part of the reason why I think it's so important that an agent, luxury or otherwise, but especially luxury, that you have the contacts, that
Right.
you are living the life.
Right.
You're out there.
Right.
You can't just hide behind a desk
No.
and not get out there and meet people. You still have to meet people,
Right.
right? I mean, that's
Right.
still an important aspect of being able to build a real estate business. And
Well, I tell all the new agents, I say, what do you love to do? And if they're like Marc and they say, I love to play golf, I said, well, then you're going to play golf. Now, you're not going to play golf 5 days a week because then people will think you don't work. But you are going to play golf, and you're going to be in some tournaments,
Yeah,
and
I
you're
love
going to
that.
rub elbows with people. And during that time, you're going to talk about real estate. So, and if you're, whatever it is you love, do and do it well.
yeah.
Because in that foursome, you know what the question's going to be.
How's the market?
How's the market?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's your opening. There's your opening.
Yeah, it's the most
Yeah.
popular conversation.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I think we're to the end of our show.
Okay.
It's been a good conversation. I think the thing that has really struck me is your statements about the forced technology. I mean, I think that's going to really ring with me. I'm going to mull that over because it's so true. I think that agents were so reluctant prior to the pandemic, and brokers would provide that tool for them. They had the technology out there. It's been around.
It's been around.
But getting them to adopt it and get
Yeah.
into it has been so hard. So
Yeah.
that was very cool. But anyway, 3 takeaways. I want you to tell me what your 3 things are that you'd like to leave with our viewers today. If you want to start with that, Robbie.
Well, it sure is fun to be here.
Good. We like to have fun.
And for me, just talking about luxury, the last thing you want is it to be a snobby experience. When you go to a restaurant, if your waiter is snobby, you'll never go back. It doesn't matter how great the restaurant is or anything else. But
That's
if
right.
but if your waiter has no airs about him, is welcoming, is fun, makes the experience good. Luxury is an experience, and you'll come back every time because you want that experience.
I love that.
Was that what I was supposed to do?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
good.
enough.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
That says it all right there.
Right
I
there.
love
It is
it.
the experience.
Marc?
I have an opportunity to talk to a lot of agents who are, and just kind of discussing their marketing plan, if you will. And when they begin to lean toward where they want to increase their average sales price and tip toward the luxury side, then the first thing I advise them of, if you want to be in the luxury space, be with a luxury firm.
Right.
It's just that simple.
It's pretty
Because I've
simple.
seen it across the board out there, and we pick these categories of companies that say we've got this luxury division. There's no organization behind it. It's still a group of independent people getting together. There's no back office support.
Right.
There's nothing that really gives the full detail of what a luxury support is about, and a firm that really specializes in that. So I highly encourage that, and that's one I'd say. The other thing I say is, it's somewhat what Robbie was referencing to in the golf course, but find a group out there to connect to. As an example, Jennifer Lalash is in the group.
Right.
We brought her into Dallas Roundtable.
Right.
18-year-old organization. We got 40 people in that organization. They're all entrepreneurial, they're
Right.
executive level people. So she's in a well-networked group that if it's not that group that's going to give her the referral, it's going to be from a friend that they have to refer that way. So I'd say don't get in BNI or Master Networks, whatever those are, but find something that's got some people in it that are successful in their respective channels. And then the last thing I've always believed is have it as a luxury is to have a team that you turn to that you can count on, whether that's the title piece of it, whether it's the lending piece of it, whatever those partners are that you have. And I wouldn't discount the importance of connecting into people in family practice because, you know, face it or not, we're in a city like many that high divorce rate, and divorces affect at all levels of ownership
Right.
to that side. And
Estate planning.
yeah. But we've had some opportunities in recent times to help Briggs on some transactions that were in escrow somewhere else. They couldn't get the deal done. And
Sure
a lot of
did.
times I find it's really more, they're not willing to invest the time forensically to go in and find out what the problem is and really dig deep into trying to create a solution. We're a boutique firm, and I think boutique firms can give more attention to those type of transactions to that side. So regardless,
Absolutely.
I think picking those teams and
Right.
pick the team that understands how to deal with luxury market,
Absolutely.
not the team that does excessive volume or whatever it is. If it's a lender or a title company, that's not where
No.
luxury needs to be
Not at all.
managed. It needs
No.
to be in people that have that understanding of what luxury expectation is. So those are my three things.
Excellent, excellent. And let me just say this about Marc Miller, my friend of 20 years. When I first started Lyric Marketing back in the day, oh my God. You know, there is that person who can be annoying forensically, and there's that person who can be elegant and forensic, and that's Marc Miller. And
Thank you.
Marc is president of Secured Title of Texas. They are our host or our sponsor of this show, and I really appreciate his willingness to be a part of this. And if you don't have a title partner already, this is a no-duh. I mean, it's your choice. Just, you know, tell your client, Marc Miller at Secured Title of Texas, and you'll get that luxury experience there, because their team, I know them all over there, I've worked with them, they will dig down and make your closing happen. And they're not just fly-by-night people who are hired because they're a pretty little girl and she's out getting business. Yeah, that's how they do it a lot. But he is the elegant luxury guy. And anyway,
Thank you.
I love Marc. He's awesome.
I do
So
too.
my three things for marketing, and I could talk forever about luxury marketing. It's one of my favorite things, and I'm going to be doing a blog post. Don't check right now, but check back later this afternoon on sandyhibbardcreative.com on my blog, and I've got these notes that I'm talking about expanded on luxury marketing. But there are three things that I want you to remember in your luxury marketing, and these things come directly from the horses' mouths, not mine. This isn't me. These are from agents who are tried and true luxury agents from across the United States, and these are the three most important marketing aspects that they utilize in their luxury brand. Number one is personal marketing. When you're building a brand, you have to put your best foot forward, always. You want to make it through the front door, and the way that you do that is by having a reputation precede you. Marketing yourself as a luxury agent begins long before you become one. You need to present yourself as someone who can totally be trusted if you want someone to trust you with a multi-million-dollar deal. So personal branding is key. Go back and look at your Facebook and Instagram posts. Make sure there's not any wild and crazy things on there that would kind of put a mark on that, because that's really important if you're going to be in this business. Second thing, and Robbie touched on this, is creative marketing. You've got to get into a creative space in building your luxury brand out from what you're doing. And it's crucial. Number one, staging. Things like staging that follows along with a whole luxury experience, in getting creative with how you're going to present a listing online, your online marketing, your printed pieces. Showcase your creativity to show that you can become that creative person to get a sale for a home or to find a luxury property. So creative marketing is super important. You want to also, if you're going to do in-house or open houses where people are actually coming, get creative with those. Do enhanced open houses. I know people here in town who have done art shows at open houses and having a combo there, playing music, or a top jewelry designer who's displaying their work. So there's all kinds of things and ways that you can do to attract and garner attention to your listing and to what you're doing. So get creative with that. The last thing is you've got to build an online presence, and this is twofold. This is for your personal and this is for your business. So like it or not, old folks, if you don't want to be tech-centered, if you don't want to be online, too bad. You need to be online, okay? Because the first place that 35-year-old heir apparent is going to look to buy their house is probably somewhere online. Will they find you? And if they do find you, what are they going to find? Do you have a website? Do you have great personal profiles on your social media? Are they representing you as the luxury person, as the person that they can trust and learn from? So these are just very basic things that you need to include and incorporate into your marketing. Creative thinking, creative marketing, online presence, and personalize your marketing so people can get to know you. And that's a wrap.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next month, episode 21. We haven't got it planned out yet, but we'll let you know. So stay tuned and go back to theinsiderspodcast.com to see all of our previous episodes and what's up for the future. Thanks again.